Texas is back, and it looks like they're here to stay. The Longhorns in 2023 just put together their best season under Coach Sark, starting their season off with a 5-game winning streak with a big-time win over Alabama, and then followed it up a couple weeks later with a massive win versus Kansas. Unfortunately, their one and only hiccup came in the middle of the season versus their rivals Oklahoma in a close 34-30 loss. But the Longhorns didn't let that loss to Oklahoma derail the rest of their season. They would go on to have a 6-game winning streak to cap out the rest of the regular season, found themselves in the Big 12 championship game where they easily beat Oklahoma State 49-21. Now, unfortunately, they were not able to get it done in the college football playoffs, losing 37-31 to the Washington Huskies. However, when you actually look at it, the Longhorns' only 2 losses came at a combined total of 10 points. They lost by 4 points to Oklahoma and 6 to Washington. And while all my Longhorn fans are loving this year and all the success that's come with it, there's always that thought in the back of your mind of, how long is this going to last? Well, I can very confidently say it's at least going to last another year. Not only are the Longhorns bringing back their dominant superstar running back Jonathan Brooks, but there are massive rumors that their star quarterback Quinn Ewers might be returning back to Austin. But even if he doesn't, you got Arch Manning waiting in the stables to shine for the Longhorns. And on top of that, the Longhorns landed 3 of the best players that the portal had to offer, landing guys like 4-star edge rusher from UTSA Trey Moore, 4-star safety from Clemson Andrew Makuba, and 4-star wide receiver from Houston Matthew Golden. Oh yeah, the Longhorns also had the 3rd best recruiting class in the country, with their top 5 recruits consisting of, this is absolutely ridiculous, 4-star corner and the 54th best player in the class of 2024, Kobe Black, the 32nd best player in the country in 5-star safety Xavier Fossum, 5-star offensive tackle and the 2nd best offensive tackle in the country in Brandon Baker, 5-star linebacker and the 4th best linebacker in the country, Colin Simmons, and 5-star wide receiver and the 4th best wide receiver in the country, as well as being the 12th best overall recruit in the class of 2024, Ryan Wingo. They also added guys like 3-star defensive lineman Alex January, 3-star wide receiver Parker Livingstone, 3-star running back Christian Clark, and 3-star corner Jordan Johnson-Rubel, who are some of my favorite players that I've watched for the Longhorns and who I think, even despite their rankings, are going to have a big impact for the Longhorns. So the Longhorns are going to be bringing back a ton of talent next year. They brought in some major pieces through the transfer portal who are going to be immediate plug-and-play guys and improve at those positions. And then they also had the 3rd best recruiting class, bringing in some of the just best talent, on top of all the young guys that they already have there who've been developing all year, who are just waiting to break out next season. How could it get better for the Longhorns? Well, your 2024 schedule is very favorable. Out of your 12 games next season, 7 of them are home games. And if we're being honest, Texas is really only playing 3 true away games next year. The Longhorns also only play 3 teams that could potentially derail a perfect season, and 2 of them are at home. But let's really break down the Longhorns' 2024 schedule. Starting it off, the Longhorns are going to be going up against Colorado State at home. We can all agree that's a win. Now, they're going to be going up against a major battle in week 2 versus the Michigan Wolverines. But we all saw what they did in week 2 versus Alabama, and they won that game. And Michigan is going to look like a shell of themselves heading into next season. They're going to be losing Blake Corum, and Donovan Edwards might hit the draft as well as JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy still has not made his decision whether or not he's going to be returning to Ann Arbor or not. But with Michigan losing a ton of talent to the NFL draft, losing some talent to the transfer portal, as well as there's a lot of allegations going on around Jim Harbaugh, that could be a very easy win for the Longhorns early on in the season. So that's 2-0. They then go up against UTSA, ULM, and Mississippi State all at home. I think we can all agree those are 3 very easy wins. So heading into the Longhorns' first bye week, they will be a perfect 5-0. But coming off of the bye week is where they start the hardest part of their schedule. The Longhorns come off of their bye week and go straight into their Red River rivalry game versus Oklahoma, but it's at the Cowboys Stadium. So like I said, that is not an away game. That is, if anything, that's a home game, which it was a very close game this past season. I think that this next year, Texas is going to do what they need to do to get over that Oklahoma hump and end with a victory versus the Sooners. So in a perfect world, Texas will be a perfect 6-0 and will be coming off of a big time victory versus their rivals Oklahoma, heading into their most important game of the season. Saturday, October 19th, the Longhorns play the Georgia Bulldogs, but they play them at home. Now, obviously, this is going to be a tough game for the Longhorns. It's going to be a very even matchup. We saw that Texas was able to beat Alabama this past season. Georgia is a slightly different beast, but they have them at home, and if they're going to have the best chance to beat Georgia, it's going to be at home, coming off of a major victory versus their rivals. They're going to be up, they're going to be excited. I think that Texas is going to be able to beat Georgia next season. Now, if Texas is able to beat Georgia in week 8 of their season, I'm not saying that the rest of their schedule is a cakewalk, but let's just check it out together. They then play an away game versus Vanderbilt, which that should be a win. They then have a bye week. Then they play Florida at home. That's a win. They play Arkansas at Arkansas, which again, another win. They play Kentucky at home, which is a win. And then they play Texas A&M at College Station. But like I said, they're still in Texas, so it's a home game. And I believe that with how gutted that Texas A&M has been and what they're going to look like heading into next year, I think we can all agree that's going to be another win. So the Longhorns only really have 3 major teams that they need to be on the lookout for in the 2024 season. That's going to be week 2 versus Michigan, and then their back-to-back games versus Oklahoma and Georgia. But like I said, those games versus Oklahoma and Georgia are both going to be at home, and they're coming off of a bye week, so they're going to be rested. I believe that this schedule is so favorable for the Longhorns. Not only do you guys have an extremely favorable schedule next year, you only have to go up against Georgia. You don't have to go up against Alabama and Georgia. So you get pick one of the two. That's always the best schedule in the SEC. As long as you can get one of the two, you don't have to go up against LSU. You don't have to go up against Ole Miss. You missed all of the other powerhouse teams in the SEC. You got to go up against Georgia and Oklahoma. If you're able to get over those two after coming off of what I believe will be a probably a 14-point win versus Michigan early in the season, Texas could very easily be a perfect 12-0, at worst 11-1 at the end of the season. So yeah, if Texas has back-to-back 11-1 seasons and finds themselves in the college football playoffs, or they improve and have a perfect 12-0 season, I think we could all agree that Texas would be back then. So all my Longhorn fans, with all the additions that you guys have made through the transfer portal and through the high school recruiting rankings, plus all the talent that you're bringing back and this favorable schedule, comment your thoughts down below on what your guys' expectations are for the Longhorns heading into next year. I personally think that the sky is the limit for the Longhorns. If they're able to play the level of football that they played this year, but have all that young talent develop and start shining for the Longhorns this next season, Texas is going to be one of the scariest, if not the scariest teams in college football. So like I said, hit that subscribe button, comment your thoughts down below, and leave this video a like, showing your love and appreciation for the Longhorns. I know it's been a long time coming, but I think we can all say Texas is officially back, and they're here to stay for a while. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on all your notifications. I love and appreciate each and every single last one of y'all. Nobody has told you this today. I love and appreciate you, and I'm so happy that you have another day here on this earth. If you're going through anything, I know that the world can get a little bit tough. Know that you always have Jesus Christ to call upon. The beautiful thing is, whether you believe in him or not, whether you've blasphemed against his name or, it doesn't matter what you've done. He's always right there with you, ready and willing to accept you just the way you are. That's the gospel, honestly. Jesus meets us right where we are. Don't think, oh, I gotta clean this up and I gotta start going to church for a month before I can really have a real interaction with God. Nope. Right where you are, you can have an interaction with God, and just like that, your whole life can be changed. Never forget that. Love and appreciate all y'all. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.